Jeffersonville City Council meeting, November 4th, 2013. Would everyone stand for roll call? For invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Too many meetings.
Here he comes.
Gracious God, we thank you for this day. We thank you, as you always do, to bring us to this day and to bless us, to bring us through danger seen and unseen. We ask you to continue to bless this council, bless this meeting. Give us all the grace and the mercy that you can, Father God, to be what you would have us to be. Continue to watch over our community and to bless all of our leaders. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Councilperson Smith.
Present.
Councilperson Payne.
Here.
Councilperson Gill. Here. Councilperson Glover.
Here.
Council President Sellers. Here. Council Vice President Julius.
Here.
Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Let the record reflect Councilperson Zastavny is absent. We have 8 councilpersons present. Okay, approval of the agenda. I have 2 things that need to be removed from the agenda under new business. Number 1, Kelly Phillips. And number 2,
Back up.
under new business, second page, Kelly Phillips. And number 2, myself, because we had the workshop where we discussed this. And I would also like to move the marina project, because that's the last thing that we are discussing, I believe. Maybe it's the last 2. But I would like to move that to number 1 under new business.
Okay.
Is that 11 and 12?
11
Yeah, 11 and 12 to 1 and 2, yeah.
I'd like to add, I guess, an item number 10, resolution about the proposed marina project.
There's no further motion to approve the changes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the changes for the agenda for tonight's meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Minutes to be approved. In your packet, you have the minutes from the regular council proceedings of the 21st of October.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the city council meetings for October 21st.
I'll be abstaining. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We have 1 abstention. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Also in your packet is the minutes from the special meeting on November 1st.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the city council special meeting on November 1st.
I'll be abstaining again.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved.
Motion to approve. It's presented. Unless you have anything.
Actually
to
have
add.
one change.
Oh. Man,
Good try.
trying to move us along.
On page 10, the last page, we had some duplicate lease payments entered that we need to remove. So the updated total I'm requesting is $1,334,164.69.
What would you removing again, Amy?
It is
That duplicate payment.
at the very top, the 18,000 will remain, and the 4 amounts below that need to be removed.
I see.
Amy, real quick, it's not a specific claim question, but I guess it's the new software since we switched over. I know we had an issue at the park with non-descriptions, like in the credit card. I mean, we have no descriptions, know what the claim was for. Is there any way we can get that stuff added back in so we don't have to go through all those claims?
We can
We
either
get
try
the-
to you want it added back into this register, we can talk about getting that fixed for the next meeting.
If there's nothing additional, I make a motion to approve as amended.
I'll second.
Councilperson Samuel already signed off on it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the city claims in the amount of $1,334,164.69. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
We should have signed on the line this time.
You let me put it on there.
Report of the clerk. None at this time. Okay. Department head, Mr. Heverin.
You're welcome. Don't forget about that.
Good evening, council. I sent out an email to President Sellers, and she sent it to you all concerning, I need to change the salary ordinance from 2 part-timers to 4 part-timers. When I was here earlier this year, about in August, asking for funds to finish out the year, I'd allotted for a couple more part-time helps, didn't realize in the salary ordinance that I needed to change it from 2 to 4 part-timers. It will help me cut back on my overtime, and it also relieves some of the stress for the staff who's working a lot of hours right now.
Can you tell them the hours breakdown like you told me?
It takes about 224 hours a week to clean that building. It's 7 days a week that we're there. It takes usually 4 people. That's 8-hour days, so it's 32 hours a day just to clean that building. Right now, I'm allocated 3 full-timers, that's 120 hours, and 2 part-timers, around 25 hours apiece. So I'm allocated about 190 hours to do 224. That's just to clean, that's not to do everything else that we do there. So I'm asking for 2 more part-timers in the salary ordinance, but I do have the money in there because I'd asked for it earlier this year.
Right, we actually approved this when he came before us last time and we made the changes. It just did not get put into the salary ordinance.
Yeah, I did not realize that that was part of the salary ordinance.
You just need to make a motion to direct Amy to make the adjustment.
Well, we be Kim.
Kim,
Be Kim, yeah.
you don't want to take care of it? Make a motion for Kim to make that change. Kim, do you have any, you good? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to allow Kim Calabro to change the J.B. Ogle Animal Shelter to 4 part-time employees, effective. Can we do that immediately, or does she have to bring it back? Can he go ahead and hire? That's his question.
That's a stop motion.
Yeah, I think,
Because they're already hired, I think he's already
They're already hired, we're
hired.
just-
yeah, you can authorize the hiring subject to the written document coming back from Kim.
Okay. All right, great. So all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. There
Thank you very much, council.
You're welcome. Agenda items, unfinished business. Mr. Lewis.
I think we moved up, you say moved up something to number 1.
Well,
That's
to
on
new
new
business.
business.
This is old business. Sorry.
Yes, this was presented at the last meeting. I think it passed on first reading. It's ordinance number 2013 OR 42. It's ordinance amending prior ordinances regarding the advisory drainage board.
Connie, is this where you're bringing up the attorney?
Well, we need to,
I'll make a motion to approve 2013 OR 42 on the second reading only. Second.
okay, I have a motion and a second to approve this on the second reading only. Any questions or comments? I have one. I was just waiting to
Ask
get to that
yourself.
point. Ask myself. We have because Scott is conflicted out in this issue and there is some conflict, we have approached another attorney's office just to get their opinion to look at this ordinance. And I spoke to her today, and she said that she could have the opinion by the next meeting. So, but what we need to do is, after we do this, we need to vote on allowing that other attorney to look at this, because Scott is, as everyone knows, he's a drainage board attorney, he's a sewer board attorney, and he's a council attorney. So, anyway, that's it.
So this is not something that you can handle? Or
Well,
this is not
he
something
he
you
can
feel
handle.
comfortable with him handling?
I think he's conflicted out. there's just some things I think that we need to maybe have someone else look at, get clarification so everyone's happy, and then move forward. But right now, we're just dealing with the ordinance.
Okay. What are your
So-
feelings, Lisa, on the ordinance?
I was going to make a motion to table it because without the attorneys, we're going to actually consult with Scott. There may be some changes in this.
Well, that's why I'm only doing it on the second.
Yeah.
You can change it.
Actually, they've already spoken to Scott this past week.
Do you have a problem with the, doing it
No,
on the
no,
second
I
alone?
defer I work for you guys. You
Right.
you make your decision, you tell me how you want to handle things, so you're the boss.
Okay, so I have a motion to pass on the first and second reading. All,
No.
Just
or,
the second.
Second reading, I'm sorry. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Me.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to have to do a vote. I couldn't hear who said aye or nay.
Councilperson Smith,
No.
Councilperson Payne,
Yes.
Councilperson Gill,
No.
Councilperson Glover,
Yes.
Council President Sellers.
Yes.
Council Vice President
Get
Julius,
it out, yes.
Councilperson Owen,
No.
Councilperson Samuel.
Yes.
Yes, has it.
Okay, all right. And then, I just need a recommendation from y'all to allow me to sign the contract with the attorneys. That needs to be a vote.
I make a motion that you are able to sign a contract with the attorney you mentioned.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to allow me as the president to sign the contract with the attorneys to overlook this ordinance. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Sorry.
Okay.
I got a question.
Sorry.
I mean, we're hiring an attorney to look into this ordinance. Is there something that stands out as to why? I mean, a lot of us,
I just think because of the conflict, to have someone else to look at would be a good thing.
so your conflict is with him writing this ordinance because he represents the Drainage Board and the Sewer Board?
And the council,
Correct.
right.
Okay, so it's just,
It's a conflict.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think in your motion, you need to name the attorney or the firm.
Ross Brown Todd,
Ross Brown Tom, yeah.
is my motion.
and secondly, do we have a not-to-exceed amount?
Is there a contract amount?
It's an engagement.
It's an
letter, I think.
engagement letter, and it's an hourly fee. The rates of those attorneys likely to work on this matter range from $325 if she does it, but Bo Zeller in the 180. You're not going to get the same deal that you get with a city attorney who's being,
There are no local
Interesting.
attorneys that would have a,
these deal with municipal law. We do not have a lot of local attorneys that,
It's basically
a lot of attorneys that
Yeah.
represent municipalities in this area.
It's just basically what they're going to do is they're going to write an opinion letter and have it for prior to our next meeting, just their opinion on the ordinance. It's not going to be somebody we're going to be engaged into fights or take on a cause, or it's just getting a second opinion.
$300 an hour, possibly.
Call the question.
okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilperson Smith,
Yes.
Councilperson Payne,
No.
Councilperson Gill,
Yes.
Councilperson Glover,
No.
Council President Sellers.
Yes.
Council Vice President Julius,
Yes.
Councilperson Owen,
No.
Councilperson Samuel.
Yes.
And where's the money coming from for that?
We will take that, probably have to appropriate it,
Or just from a
Other
general
general
fund,
fund.
probably.
or
So there's
special
no,
projects, or
so there's
whatever.
no appropriation for the contract, which by statute means the contract would be null and void until there's money appropriated to fund the contract. So
Is
you're
there
saying-
any funding, Vic, or Amy, where we could take this from, where there's already been appropriations? Special projects or
Professional services.
professional services? Mm-hmm.
But do we have budgeted the amount for our attorney and then some?
We're asking.
I just find it odd that we're approving contracts for attorneys when we haven't looked at our budget to see if we can afford the attorney.
Under professional services, there's $40,000.
There's $40,000 left,
Left.
so we have the funding then.
Okay.
Okay.
I
All
just
right,
thought
thank
somebody
you.
should ask.
Thank you.
I did check on all that.
You did check on that? Okay, Ms. Calabro? Come here.
She's sitting in the back.
Actually, my sidekick,
All the
Ashak,
department
so.
has to come to this meeting.
We're here to propose a new position with the wastewater treatment plant, and Mr. Orem is here. If you have any additional questions, the sewer board has already approved the position for a plant operations supervisor position. And if you'll note on your ordinance that was mailed out at the clerk's office, it is on salary ordinance on page 6 under wastewater treatment plant.
I thought we did this too. We didn't do this?
5,
No, we didn't do this.
consistent with the rest of the supervisors within the department.
Is this for the new,
Well, currently we have 5 operators to run 2 treatment plants. 3 million gallon a day, which is a class 3 plant at River Ridge, a 9 million gallon a day plant just behind you, which is a class 4. And we had an operations pre-treatment supervisor before. We converted that into just a pre-treatment laboratory manager, if you remember, last year. And we have, with the amount of samples we have now and the amount of, even though we have SCADA system that controls a lot of things, there's a lot of stuff to be done at both plants. And the assistant director and I have been trying to work out schedules to keep coverage of both plants over the weekend, because we have to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sample here 7 days a week, sample the new plant 5 days a week, which means checking the plant, making sure everything's running right, and we need to take that off of our shoulders and put it on a supervisor within the department to let them work out the schedules. Because we'll have 2 sets of solids dewatering facilities. One here is a belt press, one there is a centrifuge, so we have to coordinate all the solids handling, we have to coordinate all the operations, the wasting rates, the return rates. It's just more than the assistant director and I can handle. So we want to create a new position to be over the supervisory and deal with all the staffing issues that arise during the course of the day, of course of the week, of course of the month.
And this has been discussed for about 5-6 months, so this isn't something
that's why I thought
we
we'd
just-
already done it.
No, we've kind of thought about it. We had Liz, the consultant, kind of look at it, take it out to the market, pay grade it. We sat on it for probably 3 months thinking, okay, let's make sure we're going to make the right decision. You know, Len and Lori has had time to kind of think about it, present to the sewer board, and finally, I guess now we've got the 2 plants going, felt like we needed to go ahead and make that.
And the
move.
sewer board's fine with it?
Yes, they've already approved it.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
And how is this going to be broken up as far as pay? It's a pay grade 5, which is the same as the rest of the supervisors within the department. I don't know the range.
But I mean, is it 100, is it split with the sewer board, is it 100% general fund?
100%
Sewer board.
100% sewer board, okay.
Yeah.
It'll be a non-exempt position. It's not an exempt position.
When would you like to make this higher?
Well,
Sooner than later, but...
we're going to post it this week if you approve it.
It requires a Class 3 operator's license, which is the north plant, or the one in River Ridge is a Class 3 facility. And the one here is a Class 4. There's already a Class 4 operator besides myself that works for the city. We have one Class 3 operator, and this one will require another Class 3 operator. So we have coverage in case somebody decides to mosey on off to a better, bigger and better position.
And 100% funded by sewer board? And this is already passed on the first reading?
No, it's
No.
past the sewer board. The sewer board has passed it.
But this ordinance would...
We'd like to have it passed on all 3 readings, so if we get it posted.
You already passed it on the first read.
We
Oh, we
passed
have?
this on the first reading, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I do have a question.
I'm sorry?
Quick, I have a question. Do you all, if you all pass this on the second and third reading, do you want to add in Mr. Heveron's
Yes.
in here also? So then that way, you won't have to come back again next meeting with another ordinance?
Can we do
Can they
that?
do that, Scott?
Yeah, you can vote to add that to...
For the animal show.
It's a non-published.
Mm-hmm.
It's required by the
Right. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve 2013 OR 43 on a second and third reading, also adding the additional 2 part-time, are they kennel attendants? Kennel attendants?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve 2013 OR 43 on the second and third readings, and this is going to include the 2 workers, part-time for the kennel workers. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.
Ms. Deering?
Requesting approval of 2013 OR 44. I would request it just be approved on the second reading tonight because the public hearing is advertised for the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have to have the public hearing first? Or
It's
is there a
scheduled.
public hearing?
It's scheduled for...
Okay, sorry. I was trying to find my place. Okay,
The advertisement said it would be November 18th.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what the final vote is. So this-
okay. Okay. I have a motion and a second to pass 2013 or 44 on the second reading. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. New business, Mr. Merkley.
Two resolutions that are before you are in reference to the proposed renovation of the boat docks and the marina, amending both the Falls Landing Area Economic Development Plan, also the Intercity Road Economic Development Plan. I know there've been a lot of issues, questions over this last several months, and a lot of modifications have been made to the plan per suggestions of some council members, also some public and dock owners. And I'm not an engineer, and I don't even own a boat, and the thing about a boat is you need to have a friend who owns a boat. So Jorge's here, who's an engineer, I think can answer some of the technical questions. And
Good evening. For the record, Jorge Lanz with Jacoby Toombs and Lance Engineers. Have some handout. By the way, I didn't do these, or I would have done them in color.
Oh, that's okay. Probably didn't cost us as much.
Yeah, as long as they're your trees.
Yeah.
All right, we have a short presentation. Just a quick, bring you guys up to date. We've designed the improvements go on the Jeffersonville riverfront. We've had a lot of coordination with the current users of the riverfront, the leaseholders. There's been a lot of input into this. We have submitted all the information to the Corps of Engineers. The project is currently under what's called public notice, which they publish a notice, and then there's 30 days for anybody that wants to provide a comment to the Corps of Engineers. They do that. The closing date for the Corps comments, for the public comment period, is December the 2nd. The way this works is the Corps gets their comments. If there's something that they think will add or improve the project, they send it to me as your engineer. I look at it and I say, hey, that's a good idea. I come to the city and say, what do you think if we change this or not? And we can either accept it or reject it. If we reject it, the Corps can come back and say, well, if you don't do it, we won't issue the permit. But that's the 10,000-foot picture. We can just go through the presentation. There's some, first slide, please.
Am I in the way?
Oh, you're fine. Just some pictures of the state of disrepair of the current marina. Of course, that's what we want to be able to renovate. Next slide, please. These were the original conceptual plans. Some of it still is the way we're doing the project. We are putting in the finger slips. There's been suggestions that we angle them at 15 degrees with a current to try to help the situation with floating debris. The other major change is that we're not going to prohibit or the public entering the area of the marina, but we're not going to encourage it either. I mean, that's more of an area that's used by the boat owners. The public can walk through there. It is public property. It's owned by the city, but it is mainly to be used by the marina. There will be access to the floating fishing pier. They can go through the area, through the lower road, what we call the lower road itself, or come down from Riverside Drive. There's going to be access to that pier. Next slide, please. We're calling for the complete renovation of the existing docks. We're proposing 54. I think now there's 30 or 32. I can't remember the exact number. We're going to include some transient slips for people that just want to come over, park, spend the day, or dock their boat and come into the city and hopefully spend some money. At the beginning, we started with floating docks and talking to several marina component providers, plus in talking to some of the real experts, which are the people that are out there and have been out there for years. We were discouraged to do so because of the wear and tear. You know, the Ohio River, the normal pool is elevation 420, just what they call ordinary high water, which means anytime the core messes with the dam, it rises 3 feet. And then after that, you know, for each storm discharge, it can go up. Like there's a 30-foot difference between normal pool and what's called the Q100 high water elevation. So we'd have to worry about, you know, what do we do with those docks? If we got them fixed, we're just going to let them go underwater. When the water recedes back down, we'll go out there and do some maintenance on them, but we don't expect, just like now, we won't expect to lose all of the material. So we are going to have a fishing pier, what we call a floating debris deflector. It is going to be floating. We started wanting to put a jetty out there. The Corps discouraged us from doing so. And we are going to have a sewage pump station that the docks, the boat owners, and even anybody can come up and pull up and use this for a pump out to pump out their tanks. Our original estimate is $2.2 million. We think that's still a good number. I know that there's been some questions about that. We did a detailed material takeoff of what the components of this fix were going to be. We got prices from, you know, the dock manufacturers, and we got prices from, originally when we did the riverfront there, we were the company that inspected the installation of the sheet piling along that front. We know exactly what it cost. So we feel comfortable with that number. The funding source is a $153,000 grant that we've gotten for the pump out facility and to help with the funding of the floating debris deflector and fishing pier, and then match that with existing TIF funds. Next, please. Some specifics. We're not going to allow boats wider than 20 feet with the exception of one boat that's there that's going to be grandfathered. They're going to be single boat slips, so we're going to have the catwalks on both sides, the fingers. Commercial boat docks will be discontinued except Kentuckiana. We've got 3 dock lengths to size to accommodate the different length of the boats. No additional festoon lighting, and to be honest with you, I had to look up what the word festoon means. Didn't know if it was in Spanish or what, but festoon lighting is the actual, I guess, party lights that hang from pole to pole. All personal property to remain on boat, exception picnic tables, grills, golf cart, dinghies. Keep inside boat renters' own parking spaces. So what we're looking at doing is, it's going to be like a lot that the boat owners lease. If they take up their parking spaces to put in like a entertainment or a picnic table or whatever, that's their prerogative. Subletting is going to be prohibited. The owner is going to be responsible for his or her damages, cost of piling, post, and walkways, and the owner is going to be responsible for their boat during high water. That's one thing that was very important. If we had the floating docks and the boat owners, the private boats are tied to our floating docks, now we've, you know, taken the liability of anything happening to that boat during a flood event. Next slide, please. We are going to allow for 2-lane street with cul-de-sac. at the end to turn around in case we got to get an ambulance down there or fire truck. They'll probably have to make a couple of moves. We were restricted on the amount of space that we could go out from the shoreline by the Corps and IDNR. As I mentioned before, we are going to angle 15 degrees the slips. That'll help push the stuff back out when it gets collected in there. Debris. This is going to look really neat. We're going to have a lighting at each other catwalk that will illuminate, the adjacent slips themselves. That'll look really nice at night, both from the Big Four Bridge and from across the river or from a boater passing by. And all 2013 tenants have right of first refusal in 2015. Next slide. We're talking about hopefully starting construction in the spring of next year after all permits have been received. The Corps is the lead agency. They get clearance from IDNR and from IDEM. We need what's called a water quality certification to do what we're going to do on the river. So there is also another document which is called a memorandum of agreement that was signed in that riverfront because of the historic district. The city is under an MOA, the memorandum of agreement of what can be done and cannot be done. We were part of the original. We helped author the original agreement. We don't think that anything that we're putting out there will affect the MOA. So, but the Corps has suggested that we supersede or overwrite and have a new MOA that's being drafted as we speak, pending the information received during the public comment period, and we are going to have the two-lane road. We're going to have some landscaping at top and at the side of the hill. And again, the road, the access road and the fishing pier. Maintenance plan, and I'm going to read this. I think the Parks Department and Paul put together. We've been working on trying to help with the putting together the maintenance plan. It'll be the responsibility of the redevelopment department. Regular debris will be bi-monthly. So that means that the slip lesser will have to do the maintenance dredging. We'll go out there about, once every couple of months. There will also be on-call debris removal if it's something that the lesser cannot handle. There'll be annual dredging. We expect that every year we may have to do some maintenance dredging. Dock repairs will be done as needed. We will maintain the sewage pump station, maintain the landscaping, and maintain the street. Estimated annual cost $20,000 to $25,000 per year, and the city's applying for a grant for $3,000 per year. The summer fees, April 1st through November 30, which is 8 months. Boats up to 24 feet in length, $1,200 per season, and there'll be a $50 surcharge for each additional foot. Boat length will be determined by the boat registration info. The boats remaining after November 30 charge $10 per day until removed. Winter fees, December 1st through March 31st, those 4 months, it's half the cost. Boats up to 24 feet in length, $600, and then 25 feet for each, $25 for each additional foot. Some of the amenities that we're going to put in here, it's going to be state-of-the-art, and we're going to have electricity down there. We've worked with Duke to be able to run underground power that obviously for each slip then it'll have to be taken up because of the fluctuating river level, so the actual electrical receptacle sits off the ground, and it's kind of what's out there now. There will also be water, so that, when you own a boat, when you get done using the boat, you want to go out there and hose it off, you'll be able to connect your hose to the spigot. There'll be sewer pump out usage. We've included space for 2 automobile space per rental, which the lesser can use for other uses if he wants, and there'll be garbage pickup. These are a comparison of what other marinas are charging for a 24-foot minimum boat. You can read them yourself. I don't know if you want me to read them all, but it looks like Paul and the Parks Department did a very detailed study of what it would take to stay competitive, and yet be able to generate the maintenance funds that will be required to keep the facility in tip-top shape. Revenue projection, next slide, please. Scenario 1, 30 dock renters. It would generate $52,000 in the summer, in both summer and winter, $78,000. If we have 45 dock renters, it'll increase the amount. In scenario 3, 60 boat renters, we actually reduced that amount to 54, so we'll have to redo the math. But in 2013, the total revenue that was realized was $24,500, just to serve that as a litmus test. Next slide, please. This slide was thrown in here to, try to promote what this enhanced riverfront can bring to the city of Jeffersonville. There are several items that have been added in there of, improvement of quality of life and economic development. We want to succeed as a city, and we want to promote the city. You can read it yourself. I'm not going to go through the whole slide. And there's another slide, the next slide, please. It's a statement here. The ultimate goal of economic development is to improve the quality of life for the people who live in a community. It is a means to an end, not an end in self. Quality of life is also an important site selection criterion for many major employees. I can tell you that's a fact. I personally am involved across the river in a very exciting strategic plan of, what needs to happen to the Louisville metropolitan area, not just the city of Louisville, but southern Indiana, of what needs to happen over the next 20 years to keep this area from, moving forward. So companies are attracted to and want to stay in communities that are good places to live, work, and conduct business, top quality schools, exceptional medical care, diverse recreational opportunities, good roads, clean water, effective public safety, and much more make a location appealing. So we believe that this project accomplishes all that. I know this is outside of my engineering expertise, but since it was there, I thought I'd read it. So we hope that you can support this project. We've done a lot of due diligence. I think that many of the boat owners are here. I hope that they're supportive of their plan. We've had a very good meeting with them, and individually I have spoken to them on other occasions, and I think we've addressed all their concerns. I'll be happy to answer any questions, or Paul or Mr. Merkley.
One question I got, Jorge, and it may have changed, but using my dock I have now, I can repair it and keep it, I guess, safe, so to speak. But once that dock is removed and it's tore out, I am not able to put another dock in its place unless I get a permit. Does that make sense?
It is, and it's, I've always questioned why that is. If there's a dock there and it's just replacement, they let you do repairs, but not completely
Tear it out
removal
and
and
redo it.
replacement.
Right.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that, because in the article, it says right here, the mayor has said it's up to the council. The old docks are going to be tore out regardless of whether they approve it or not. And of course, I support the marina, and I don't know how quick the Army Corps is going to be. I mean, that could be quick, it may not be.
That's true.
But I would hope that because I think we support the marina, but until we get to a certain point, I hope that they don't start, or the administration doesn't start tearing out docks, knowing that, let's say, we don't get approved here in several months, that the spring season and the 14 season will be there, and if you don't have a dock, you can't rebuild it, which means you're going to lose that revenue.
Right. I would hope that that's the case. We've talked to the Corps about this, and by the way, the approach that we've taken, we do have construction plans that are probably 95% complete. We didn't want to complete them until we've got the permit, because there may be changes and stuff, and we don't want to spend your money in, doing something that's not going to be what's going to be built out there. But that is a very good point. I don't know if Mr. Merkley wants to address that, but it will require a permit to even remove the docks.
Well, it's always been that way,
It
and
is
I know
way
that the
now.
docks that I've always had over the years, I can repair it. You can do a pretty massive repair,
Right.
but if that dock is gone and it's pulled up and then I cannot, or nobody can go in and replace that dock
That is the case.
until I get a permit. And that's what I'm saying, regardless of how we end up, if the Corps takes 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever the case may be, I'm hoping that they don't, that according to this article, the mayor's going to tear them out whether we approve it or not. And
Well,
I know that has nothing to do with
Right.
you, but that would affect myself and a lot of these other boaters here.
Demolition is included in the plan, in the construction itself. And one of the adjustments that we did that we really heard very clearly from the current users was, at one time we were thinking, we're going to tear everything out, move them out, tear everything out, put them in, and then ask them to come back. And I explained to the mayor and, to the redevelopment department, I said, look, every project we do, when we're working with sewer, Mr. Rashek, if he's still here, you got to maintain flow. If you're doing a road, you got to maintain traffic. I mean, why don't we move them all down to one spot? We'll fix half of the upstream or the downstream part first, and then we'll all move them over there, and then we complete. So we've got that incorporated in our plan.
I think that's good.
Yes, sir.
Jorge, I have a question. Because you want to start in the spring, it says, you say after all permits are received, and I've been hearing they're going to start whether you get the permits or not. So what can you do legally if you don't have the permits? I mean, can we go ahead and I don't know what the process is or how you would, order you would do things. Would you do the street? Would you do the lighting? I mean, I have no problems with that, but
Well,
what does the Corps require that you have to have the permit for? The whole area?
The whole project that's described in here and in these plans, the Corps has jurisdiction over. I remember many years ago, I think maybe Dale might have been mayor back then, but we were redoing some work on the riverfront. I think we were maybe redoing the sidewalks and putting in sewers or something down there. And I remember one day the Corps, because I would always tell the Corps, I said, well, we go ahead and do it. What are you going to do? Call out the National Guard or what? And actually, they came down one time and they stopped our project, our contractor, and the Corps came down, and there was, 10, 15 guys from the Corps came down with a order to stop construction. And, you had to do it, or I guess you end up in court. The attorneys would, that's what would happen. So until we get that permit, I just don't know how we're going to do any construction.
Okay, because
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number, what would it be?
well, you've got two there.
Right. The first one for the Falls Landing Area Economic Development Plan,
That's 30, that'll be 31.
31.
2013 R31?
Yep.
I'll second.
Okay, now, since I don't know if everybody had their questions out, can we have further comments, please?
31. Falls
I need
Landing.
to write that down because there's...
Jorge, from a permitting perspective, you would anticipate hearing something back from the Corps 30 days?
After the second, in the deadline of
After
December
December
2nd.
Yeah, it's they're not going to do anything until the end of the
Because
public
my
comment period.
concern with this is if the Corps has an open process of seeking input, then my thought would be we delay and wait until that process is over, get the permit in hand, and then have the vote.
I don't think that would be prudent, Nathan, because, they're looking, one of the questions, and I had a heck of a time getting the Corps to actually issue, and by the way, I think that we've sent that to everybody, there's the public notice. I mean, we've redone that riverfront, I think this is the fourth time we've had different plans for that riverfront. And the Corps specifically asked me, okay, is the city going to do something? I mean, because we proposed this, I remember in the early 80s, we prepared a plan with the Hughes Group, had a very ambitious plan that we were going to put out there, floating wave attenuators and all kinds of stuff, and then that was one plan. Then we did another different plan of what was going to happen. So I would greatly advise you to just support the project. I mean, we still have to go through the rest of the process. The Corps is going to wait till the closing of and by the way, I don't think, and I forgot to call the guy today to find out if he's received any comments yet, because during this public comment, they'll contact me and say, hey, we got this letter, you want to address it now? I have not been contacted by the Corps since the public notice has been done. I would urge you to go ahead and approve the project. If the, I mean, I fully expect the permit to be issued, and we may have to, give and take a little bit, but the Corps had a lot of input on what's out there now. The boaters have had a lot of input, the Corps had a lot of input. Why delay it?
I guess my question is, if we approve it tonight, nothing's going to be done until the Corps gives their okay. If we wait till the Corps gives their okay and approve it at the next meeting, I don't see there being a delay. Am I missing something? Or?
Well, I think it's necessary that we send the Corps a clear, loud signal saying, hey, this project is going to go. I'm telling you.
Okay.
I mean, this was a lot of, I had to walk through a lot of hoops to get this public notice put out. So, I mean, I would go ahead and, if you're willing to do it, let's support the project, get it going. We'll work through it. If there's any issues, we're going to work through it like we do every project.
Another question. You said you've got the plans 95%,
Yes, sir.
close to 100% done.
Yes, sir.
And you said your 2.2 million you felt pretty comfortable with. One question I had is, dealt with those plans and made sure that, because I'd seen renderings, but I don't recall, maybe I had, but I don't recall going over the actual plans.
I'll be happy to do that with you.
Just wanting to make sure that,
That's one thing we were talking about. We've not seen plans, construction plans. We've seen the conceptual design, which has changed, because the last time I spoke to the mayor, which was a couple of Wednesdays ago, we were still at 64 docks. And I said, can we not bring that down some? And he basically told me no. So,
Well, I'll be happy to send you a set of plans or sit down and go over them with you. I mean, it's,
I mean, they should be fairly simple, right? We're not building Cape Canaveral, it's just boat docks with
well,
with
true,
a
but
parking
it
lot,
is,
correct?
well, the fact that it's out there in the open river just complicates it
Yes,
a little
it
bit. But
does.
yes, it's not a space shuttle launching station.
Thank goodness.
yeah, because that would,
Of course, I think one of the last meetings you were here, I asked for a copy of the plans when they are complete, to review them.
We'll provide that.
I understand. I support the marina, and I think most of council support the marina. I guess where I'm at is the fact that there are some moving targets right now that you're wanting, that I am supposed to approve, which is actually the dollar amount, and we don't know for sure exactly what that's going to be. And I use this as an example. We started out with 64 slips. It's not a big deal, but it's a point. Okay, and you base your revenue on 64 slips, and quite a few weeks ago, the mayor handed me this, which is fine, and it's got a lot of this information, and we're down to 60 slips. And then, if you read this article, now we're down to around 54 slips and docks for jet skis and kayaks, which is fine, but I guess I'm a little bit anal about it, but I support the marina, but I want to be specific on what I support.
Okay.
I support the project. We have to do something, Jorge. We're losing our riverbank, and you know that. And I think the dock, everybody knows that.
Right.
And when we're losing a lot of things. However, we haven't really, we're getting close, but I just, and this hearing talks a little bit about the adverse effect that it has on the old Jeffersonville Historic District listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And I'm sure them are all tweaking things.
They are.
They are, but they are things. And I know last time, according to this article in 94, that's one of the things we got gigged on, was the adverse effect that it would have on the old historic district. Now, that was a pretty extensive plan, because I remember the plan, and I think Dale was mayor, and it was going to be, this is not that plan, but yet,
But it got approved because we got an MOA.
Did you get it approved?
Yes,
Well, I'm just going by the article.
right.
But,
What article is that?
Courier.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't read
I
it.
talked to Mr. White a little bit, it came out of with Charlie White a little bit. But I mean, I approve the marina project, as far as I'm concerned, I just want to see the specifics on what we're going to have, what we're going to do, and I know we can't get an exact cost until we go to bid, but I think them fluctuations, especially on the jetty, is going to affect the cost. And it may not, we may get exactly what we want, and we may not, but we don't know that yet.
Well, if I can respond to that, I mean, all of the project elements are set there in the public notice, and that's what we've shown in the plans. We looked at the estimate that we put together, and, I mean, it contained, just like anything that we do, when we're preparing conceptual plans, even when we go out for bids, we include contingency. We had a 10% contingency, which was $200,000. I mean, I still believe that the number that we came up with should suffice. I can't tell you for sure, like you say, until we open bids.
Right.
But like every project that we've been involved here in the city, I think that we've been, pretty well in the ballpark of what the actual bids come in at. So, I mean, I can tell you that I'm very comfortable with that number. If you want to wait till later, my number may or may not change. I mean, it's got 10% contingency already. I think that we need to go with that number and with that budget, and maybe you make that provision that you approve up to $2.26 million, but I mean, it's no sense, I mean, we're not going to change our estimate. We will tweak it once we finalize the plans, but I mean, all these things need to be moving in parallel. We need to get to where we got to get to here.
Well, I've looked back at just the last couple projects we've done. I mean, Vissing Park, we hit a target number there. It moved around quite a bit. We had to change some things. The soccer fields, it came in and we bid it at $4 million. It was going to come back at $6 million that we put into building, and we changed our plans. I don't know where this is any different. We're trying to get the best cost estimate that we can to build this. That's what you're providing us.
That's all we can do.
I know I can't hold you to the dollars and cents, just as we didn't on the soccer park or Vissing Park, so I don't understand the argument, but to your point.
Paul, I have a question for you. Sure. When it's talking about the parks maintaining, and it's, what was it, 25,000? Is that you taking care of it?
It's not, no. I reached out to a local company that does some work on docks, maintenance, debris, dredging, and they gave me an estimate on what it would take per year to do removal of debris per month, as well as on-call removal. I think Jorge went over all the details, the dredging, the clean out of the sewer pumps. So they gave me a dollar amount. I added a little bit to it for the parks to weed and cut the grass in the area, and came up around 20 to 25,000. But that's not the Parks Department doing the work. It's
outsourcing.
Contracting. Yes, outsourcing.
That's a company that does this in the area?
Yes, they do a lot. Mount Vernon Barge Services is the name of the company. They do a lot of barge work and
Gotcha.
dock work.
Yep. I guess I'll call the question and ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Smith?
Not now, no.
Councilperson Payne?
Yes.
Councilperson Gill?
No.
Councilperson Glover?
Yes.
Council President Sellers?
No.
Councilperson Julius?
No.
Councilperson Owen?
Yes.
Councilperson Samuel?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 noes.
Thank you.
Jorge, one quick question. Since that was voted down, will they pull the permit?
Probably will.
Okay, thank you.
So 32, we don't need to do anything else.
Agenda.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve resolution number 32 as well.
We did.
And I'll ask for a roll call vote again.
Okay.
We'll vote twice.
Sounds good. But I don't have a second.
Second.
Okay.
I have a motion second.
Councilperson Smith?
I'm sorry, but no.
Councilperson Payne?
Yes.
Councilperson Gill?
No.
Councilperson Glover?
Yes.
Councilperson President Sellers?
No.
Councilperson Julius?
No.
Councilperson Owen?
Yes.
Councilperson Samuel?
Nope.
Fail. Mr. Merkley, public hearing.
same thing, except it's not $2 million.
This is a ordinance amending, or it's a rezoning ordinance in reference to some property. I'm going to let Mr. Pfeiffer get some billable hours, so he's representing both of these, and I'll let him deal with the first one, which is amending from a C1 to a C2 4-acre parcel.
Thanks, I'll be brief. My partner Alan Applegate actually represented this applicant at the Plan Commission meeting that was recently held. The applicant, Jesse Green, is a local businessman, proposes to finance and build and operate self-storage units next to the car wash or between the car wash and the old Dairy Queen on Middle Road. It requires a rezoning from C1 to C2 for that purpose. The storage units are intended to focus on RV and boat storage. As you well know, city ordinances don't, within subdivisions and subdivision restrictions themselves, don't typically allow storage of those kind of vehicles, and so he believes that there's a shortage of that type of facility, and that's what he would intend to construct. He intends to comply with the buffer yard requirements and landscaping requirements of the ordinance, and I believe this was unanimously favorably recommended by the Plan Commission. So if you got any other questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
What's he going to put, because I know there's some concerns from some of the residents that I've received, what type of fencing, so it won't be visible from the streets?
Well, it'll be chain link fence. The ordinance requires a 6-foot fence, and he has no opposition to have, if visibility is the concern, and it's believed that the buffer yard requirements aren't adequate to resolve that, he's more than willing, and I think he's probably leaning towards putting the barrier ribbon in the fence anyway. So if you want to make that we would make that a voluntary commitment if you wanted to condition the approval on that.
And all of these were going to be inside storage?
Correct.
They're not going to be open air storage?
No, there will be, in fact, that's one of the, I would say variants, but a dispensation that was obtained from the Plan Commission. There will be no open striping parking on this site. So it's either you're pulling your vehicle in to access your unit, or it's in the unit itself. There's no other striped surface parking within this facility.
Okay, and it will be paved?
Yes, absolutely. Though the ordinance requires that, but yes, it'll be
I know,
paved.
but I'm just,
Right.
for everybody here.
Yes.
I received
Yeah, this is a public hearing as well, so
Okay.
you can go ahead and talk.
I received information from Councilperson Zestovny, who was on the voted support. He supported this on the commission, but he was expecting there to be some of those parameters, Greg, to be put in by the next board.
BZA.
The BZA, thank you. And evidently they didn't. And so he said, he requested that I vote against it because of that, with the intent that the people would go back through and get it outlined what they need to do to put the correct barrier up or whatever to protect us from having an eyesore of what it potentially could be.
Well, I think that's been delegated to staff by the Plan Commission because this isn't in a commercial overlay district, so there's no development plan review. But you still have development standards within the district that have to be satisfied, including that buffer yard and landscaping requirement and lighting. So all those reviews will be done at your Plan Commission staff level, and we'll have to comply with the ordinance or seek a variance, which at present time, there are no variances being sought from the ordinance.
What's the buffer? I'm sorry if you said that earlier.
It's the 6-foot high fence, and then it's 6-foot trees, I think on 12-foot centers. And really, there's very little visible from Middle Road. There's only 6 units that are along the frontage of the property. Most of this is set well back off the road.
That's what I'm asking, because on here I've got the blue, it's just outlining the property though.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's going to be back in this area and not setting on the street.
If I could, I could show you that. This is the car wash, and so, yeah, so all this will stay, that's the former Dairy Queen. So all this
that's
stays
behind
back,
it.
and there's really only 6 units that would be visible. Most of the development's to the back side of the property.
Okay, and what's over, the bank's over here?
That's the bank over here, yes.
We have, since this is a public hearing, I'm going to open the floor, and I think I have a couple of people who want to speak on this. Mr. Zapp?
I'm president of Oak Park Neighborhood Association, 8th edition, Mike Zapp. I've been working for the last few years on that corner, building up the merchants and making it look prettier. And we got a couple merchants now that are actually doing facade development, and it's really starting to look nice. Done all the landscaping in that area, we got a park coming in, and we just are moving forward. And now that we see that this storage facility is coming in, it's just not going to add to the eye candy. It is going to set back, but if you look at other storage facilities, like the ones down on 10th Street, there are beautiful arrangements. There's great landscaping, there's great fencing, and it really looks low-key. But with this type of vehicles and boats that are going to be stored, it's going to be, a lot of these vehicles are going to be discarded, they're going to be taller and higher, and it's going to be sitting around all over the place. And as time goes on, we just forget about it, and it just degrades. So I really would suggest that we not change the zoning and continue on with our normal small merchant development in the area. I suggest that you just not change the zoning requirements. Thank you.
Mr. Eklund?
I'm Richard Eklund. I live in Clarkdale Estates. And as Mr. Zapp mentioned, we've been very pleased by the improvements that have been going on out in that area. And it is, the history of it is kind of a more of a residential area. It's not an industrial area. And putting that facility in there, it seems like it could be located in a different location and fit in much better than where they're wanting to put it. And it kind of concerns me. We have issues concerning security in our community and drug traffic and so forth. And I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but the potential is, the gentleman just stated that it's going to be rather secluded, and I'm sure that there are documented instances where people have used these storage facilities. You stick a meth lab in there. I don't know that the facility will have anybody there to monitor it. There'll be 24-hour access. Who knows what could go back in there? There's a lot of people that live in that area, and I wouldn't want to see that turn into a trouble spot for our community.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for or against this project? Rezoning? Not project, sorry, it's a rezoning. Mr. Pfeiffer, do you know how big the buildings will be? Or, I'm not, and, you should never assume anything. We're not going to be having yachts in there or anything. Do you know? And maybe they will.
They are typically 192 feet long and 55 to 70 feet wide.
Hey, do you know how tall?
I'm sorry, 45 to 70 feet wide. I would imagine that they could be up to 10 or 12 feet in order to have door access for the type of intended facility. I do want to emphasize that, again, there'll be no outdoor storage of any vehicles, period, whether they're operable or inoperable. Everything will be stored inside, if the ordinance doesn't require that, and I can't personally verify that, but we'd be glad to make that part of a condition, a commitment, worked with Les on these before, that gets recorded and runs with the property and gives the Plan Commission and any adjoining property owner the right to enforce that.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I think it's important to note that we're voting on the zoning change, not necessarily what's going in. I think I talked with Mr. Zapp earlier, and I talked with Shane earlier also, and it's, that's really what we got to think about is, a lot of the things that are in a C1 zoning or in a C2 zoning are already permitted in the C1 zoning that's there. And this facility or this person has gone through the BZA and the Planning Commission and they've gotten this far. So really we're considering the zoning. I don't want to see anything stored outside or a junkyard thrown up with a chain link fence around it either, because I live in that area. But I think that we have some pretty tight ordinances that will prohibit that sort of thing, as long as we can keep our planning offices and our code enforcement on top of it.
The way I see it is, it's a business, and it may not be the business that we want, that I want there, or that Matt wants, or whomever, but if you want a different business there, then open a business there. I mean...
It's a zoning though.
I understand that.
I know.
I understand, but their complaints are about the business, right?
Zoning issue.
Right, I get
Okay,
that.
do you have a motion?
I've got a question. Is this the first time that we've had to deal with storage facilities?
No.
Okay.
And maybe the first time this council has, but
Right.
no. There was
Because
one in my...
I don't remember us dealing with this, and I guess, I think it's a good, I guess I like the project, but if you go around town, you see some real nice storage facilities, and you see some that really are not too pleasing.
Right.
And I don't know if we need to, and this is a legal question for Scott, how do we address this type in the future? Can we put stipulations on there? For example, I know Mr. Pfeiffer said that they would do some things, I guess, to satisfy this. However, it wasn't approved by the Planning and Zoning and BZA. But how can we come up with a set of specifications or something that would require projects like this when it goes to Planning and Zoning or BZA that says you can have this, but you have to have the slots in the fences, or you have to have this. Well, right now, they said they will do some of this, but it's not required.
Right. It's not required, and I believe that's what Ed was saying in his
Right.
email. Oops, that's not, yeah.
Scott, what?
Well, I mean, that, you'd have to work with the Planning Commission and issue
Right.
new development standards or new ordinances regarding...
Because this is the first time I've dealt with a storage
You just have to
facility.
amend your current ordinances. Usually you work with the Planning Commission on that.
Right.
Comprehensive plan,
Okay.
I mean, that's something to be considered. You may want to look at everything.
Well, what I'm saying is, I don't have any pictures, but I went out today, I talked to Mr. Zapp too, and I went out today and looked at some real nice facilities, and then I looked at some facilities that wasn't as nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I guess they were built at different times, so there might have been different requirements at that time.
Yeah.
But this is something that probably at some point, Planning and Zoning, if we're going to have more of these, possibly maybe we need to tighten that up a little
Yeah.
bit. Same thing we did with apartments.
That's your comprehensive plan. You have to go back and
Okay.
consider redoing that and amending that.
Do I have a motion?
You need to close the public
Oh,
hearing.
I'm sorry, I need to close public comment. I thought I already had. Sorry. Do I have a motion?
The ordinance number 46.
Where we at here?
Make the motion to approve the ordinance.
Second?
Number 4.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2013 OR 46, changing the zoning. Any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye. Roll call, please.
Okay.
Councilperson Smith.
No, ma'am.
Councilperson Payne.
Yes.
Councilperson Gill.
No.
Councilperson Glover.
Yes.
Council President Sellers.
Yes.
Councilperson Julius.
No.
Councilperson Owen.
Yes.
Councilperson Samuel.
No.
It's an interesting
Tie.
trend I'm seeing.
We're tied.
Yeah, really.
Well, y'all,
What happens in the
It's a
instance of
tie.
Well, it still fails because you
Yeah.
still
Didn't get majority.
No, there's a zoning statute that says an official zoning action takes a majority of the entire board, so it's, in essence, tabled as a matter of law.
Yeah, but the majority, yeah, would be 5, as you know.
Until there's 5 votes one way or the other, it hasn't been acted on.
can we,
So what are we going to do?
They all have to be put back on the agenda. if we wanna
speaking
table
for
it.
myself, some of the things that we had talked about,
Put it in writing.
see if we can put some of that on there to correct that,
Yeah.
clean it up, to make it nicer looking, more appeasing looking. I know it's not required evidently, because it passed without it.
And my frustration is, and Council President Sellers can speak to this perhaps, Councilperson's asked me, he was on the Plan Commission, didn't hear tonight, but when we went through the presentations the other night, the Plan Commission on both of these matters said we really don't want to hear the details of the development, what things.
That's
We're
true.
Focusing on the use. So tonight
Exactly.
really was our first opportunity to even address those things. So I
That-
think
and
tabling
he-
it would be appropriate so we have a chance to address those.
And that's why I kept saying, it's about the zoning, because that's what we were told at the planning commission. They do not want to deal with the details, which before we kind of did, and we were able to hash that stuff out. So,
Well, I like
But I
details.
could draft
Yeah.
the zoning commission, send it to Les before your next meeting.
And I actually think it gives you an opportunity to
right.
define your plans.
Yeah.
Mr. Pfeiffer, would you also make sure I get a copy of it,
Absolutely,
so I can attach it to this?
absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Merkley.
This is another rezoning matter. This is in reference to property at 3111 East 10th Street and also 3115 East 10th Street. And the request is to go from R1 to C1. Mike?
Yes.
And look this time.
That's all right. I hope that this should be less controversial. It's these are 2 lots at the intersection of Douglas Drive and State Road 62 across from the medical outpatient clinic that's up there. They're the last 2 lots with road frontage on 10th Street that have not been developed commercially. The houses are in fairly distressed condition, and I don't see market forces bringing them back residentially. So we've got a client who has these under contract, or has already purchased them. I'm sorry. It is a Louisville group that develops AT&T cellular stores, and they intend to build that type of a store here. It'll be about a 1,900 square foot store, not a very big facility. It is This is in the 10th Street Commercial Corridor Overlay District, and so it will require a development plan approval that has recently been submitted. So this will come back to the Plan Commission for all those development details, and if any neighbors at that point in time have concerns about the design plans, that will be subject to a discretionary Plan Commission approval before those plans are complete. So on this one, we really are just talking about changing it from R1 residential to C1 to permit this type of commercial development and kind of complete that road frontage as commercial development, and we believe it would be consistent with the neighborhood.
Okay, so I'm going to open the floor for, this is a public hearing as well. Is there anyone here who wants to speak for or against this zoning change? Anyone? Okay, then I'm going to close public comment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve 2013 OR 47. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
There's a change.
All right, I'm passing this around for your all signature.
With Oh, this thing was just in.
47.
Mr. Pfeiffer, we're not trying to be controversial, it's just that when you have, I understand, but when you have residents talk about some of these things, it's like, you know,
Legitimate concerns.
right, I mean, whether it's a district person or at large to say, so it's not really controversial, we just want to make it a little nicer.
Oh, this is a new one.
No, we didn't.
Amy, are you up again?
Hope it's not controversial, it's just
I thought we just
clean
did.
it up a little better. though.
Okay, which one is
Another
that?
page to go.
Wait a minute, I thought we had another rezoning.
No, this is a new one.
This is up for the first reading and ordinance for additional appropriation.
What number?
We have the public hearing advertised for the next meeting on this ordinance, so I would request first and second approval, please. Be happy to answer any questions.
Is this one, Amy, that starts out with general planning and zoning and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
The motion approved 2013 OR 48 on first and second.
What number was that, Nathan?
48.
Thank you.
First and second, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve 2013 OR 48 on first and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis.
The next item on the agenda regarding the ordinance regarding about amending the city promotional fund. I apologize, but the proposed ordinance, it's on the agenda, but the ordinance, I don't believe was in your packet. So this is going to be passed out, obviously, understanding for introductory purposes. We discussed a couple meetings ago, the President, Ms. Summers, asked for me to do a little research based upon some State Board of Account comments regarding the city's current promotional fund. And just to give you a little history, the current ordinance, which created what's called a mayor's promotion fund, dates from 1985. And that particular ordinance just says that a fund is developed for the purpose of promoting development of the city. But it did not have any other provisions in there as far as what type of expenses are authorized. Since 1985, there has been State Board of Accounts regulations which state that for a city to have a promotional fund, your ordinance actually has to state what type of expenses are authorized. So the State Board of Accounts has brought this to our attention that our current promotional fund does not state any type of specific expenses that are authorized. So I did some research, and there's some standard type of expenses that the State Board of Accounts says that a promotional fund can authorize, and pretty much the cities throughout Indiana all have kind of adopted the same type of language. So in this proposal, when you go down to paragraph 2, when it talks about, I'm just kind of pulling language out of the recommended language from the State Board of Accounts, stating that they want you to put in your ordinance that the Common Council is authorized to budget and appropriate funds from the general fund to pay for certain expenses incurred in promoting the best interest of the city. And on A, B, and C, the type of expenses that are mentioned there, membership dues and local, regional, state, national associations of civic, educational, governmental nature. B, the expenses incurred in the promotion of economic development for the city, city community relations, including meeting room rental, decoration, educational promotion materials. And then C, floral, memorials, honorariums, or commemorative objects. Those are all standard expenses that are listed in kind of like the generic language of the State Board of Accounts. I was requested as a proposal, I believe by our president, that to exclude expenses for meals, not to have
I
that.
said that? Because I'm sitting here thinking, I think that the mayor pays for like the holiday party for the
Okay,
employees
I
out
thought you
of
had said
that.
not to include
And I'm-
meals, food
So I thought, well,
expenses.
that kind of does away with that. So I think there's, isn't that true? Isn't that where that comes from?
Okay, well, I mean, maybe I
meals like
misunderstood you that.
taking, no, I was talking
Yeah.
about travel expenses, because some of that's covered under the travel or credit card.
Okay, well, I mean, this is introduced so we can talk about it, but I thought that was about the meals. And then the fourth thing was that a lot of the other cities, they have similar language to this about when you're creating promotional materials, that you're not specifying any particular individual or particular office, you're just saying the city or the city government of whatever city or town that is. So that's where number 4 came from, that you're just referring to the city of Jeffersonville or the government of the city of Jeffersonville regarding promotional activities or materials, whether it's an award, advertisements, or whatnot. I mean, this is just an ordinance to start the discussion, to be introduced. But like I said, I was trying to find if any other cities and towns have anything more detailed. Most of them have just that standard language that I'm citing there in A, B, and C. And then some of them, obviously, then there is language that allows meals, but if you all want to change that or beef that up, obviously you can to allow certain types.
Right. Yeah, we can pass that.
Is this going to be 49?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2013 OR 49 on the first reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to pass 2013 OR 49 on the first reading. Any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Mr. Lewis.
Yes, the next item, there's not a document to be presented at this time, but there was a proposal that was approved and authorized coming out of the Sanitary Sewer Board regarding, they had voted to recommend to the City Council to see if you want to pursue an ordinance to terminate water service for delinquent sewer customers. And under Indiana law, the reason why this is coming before you, once a city becomes a second-class city versus a third-class city, a city council may pass an ordinance authorizing water service to delinquent sewer customers to be terminated. You would have to enter into an agreement with the local water company, and there would be agreement between the Sanitary Sewer Board and our local water company's Indiana American Water Company. There's already been some discussions, and they presented the sewer board with the draft of a contract. And basically, there would be arrangements where the sewer billing office or sewer board would notify the water company of certain delinquent users up to a certain dollar amount or up to a certain period of time being delinquent. And this would be a mechanism then where the Indiana American Water would literally turn off the water until the delinquent sewer bill would be paid. So this is done in many communities throughout Indiana as a way to help collect delinquent sewer accounts.
Right, and they have a lot.
I've talked to some other municipalities, it works quite well.
Yes. I mean, there is a procedure, on one thing, like when there's delinquent sewer bills, there's a procedure that the city does. The sewer billing office files liens against properties, and then those sewer liens then get put on the tax roll for tax sales. So that is one enforcement mechanism. But depending upon the time frames, and you're dependent upon the county to do the tax sales properly and in handling that lien process. So anyway, this is an alternative, additional method of collecting delinquent sewer bills, and I believe right now it's about $1 million. You've probably seen some of the stuff on TV and the newspaper about that.
Have you read, what is the cost the water company would pass on to the sewer billing?
Well,
how's that fit?
That's being negotiated in the contract, but any dollar amount there is a fee we would pay, but that is added to the delinquent sewer bill. So technically, all of that money would be recouped because the fee that Indiana American Water would charge for going out and turning off the water, then that is added to the delinquent sewer bill, and that homeowner would have to pay it. So that would come back to the sewer department.
Right.
From what I understand, wasn't it a fee of like $600 a month? You had to provide, it was like we discussed this in Board of Public Works. I think it was $600 a month up to 25, or that was for 25, and anything under or over it was more. Or
That was their old policy. It has since changed where there's now a minimum that we have.
There's not a minimum that you have to do, yes.
Pay as you go.
And the sewer board's not entered into a contract yet. There's a draft out there, but they wanted to wait because obviously this could only be done with an ordinance from the council, so we've not prepared an ordinance because we want to see if there's consensus to pursue this or not. I'm not going to spend time drafting an ordinance if this is not something that the council wants to pursue. So,
Well, there's always been an issue with landlords because the sewer bill follows the the owner of the property.
Are we talking about a long period of delinquency or what? I mean, because sometimes some people have a rough month.
yeah, I mean, there would be
You can
some...
put your stipulations on.
There would be stipulations that I believe that could be put into such an ordinance if it's desired of the council. I mean, it can only be done by an ordinance of the council, and then you can put in,
3 months, or...
you can put in what time frame, dollar amount delinquent, and so forth. So even though the contract technically with Indiana American Water, as far as providing it, would be between the sewer board and Indiana American Water Company, obviously, by law, that can only be implemented or done by an ordinance from this council, so then you can control some of the details on how that would work. It's your pleasure. I mean, this is just a proposal.
Don't most utilities do, if you miss 2 months, then you get disconnect, you don't pay 2 months? Isn't that?
I have no idea. Can't disconnect the sewer.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
No, but the water,
Yeah.
if they're delinquent 2
And that's why if
months,
anyone, you can, by law, you can't disconnect some sewer
Scott, are
systems.
you-
That's why you disconnect the water.
Are you asking if we're wanting you to proceed with trying to...
Well, yeah,
develop
yes, I
something?
mean,
I'm
since-
supportive.
Since this board,
I'm
since
supportive.
the law says
At
the
least
council
see
has
it.
to do the ordinance, I mean, it wasn't like where the sewer board's passing us and forcing it down.
Make a
You know, they voted to recommend it, they believe they would like to do it due to delinquent sewer bills, but obviously, they have to defer under the law to the council.
Right.
So before any work is done, as far as any more work on revising contracts or me drafting ordinances, we first want to see if this is something you want to pursue.
You want consensus or a motion?
Well, I think, to be clear, if there's a majority, I think you can do a motion to direct me to bring back an ordinance with, if there's any details you want to put in there.
I've got a few questions.
Yeah.
First and foremost, does sewer delinquency, does that follow the owner, or does it follow the house, or follow the person who was in the house?
Well, property owner, and that's interesting, because that's one of the first cases I took on the sewer board, was a case that I handled. Actually, Les handled it in the beginning. Remember that case, Les, with Pinnacle Properties? And I took it to the Indiana Supreme Court, which we won for the city, saying that under the law, sewer bills are assessed against the property. It's not the user. So it's the property owner that's responsible, not a rentor.
Okay, my question goes back to,
legitimately,
so if
yeah.
I'm the owner of the property and my house is being foreclosed on, and I walk away from that house, it goes through foreclosure, is there a lien against that house to pay that sewer bill or the fees to turn the water back on?
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So we're not really punishing the person who did the wrong, we're punishing the person who's going to buy that new property.
Well,
Usually-
to be honest with you, in all likelihood, it's in foreclosure. There's not going to be, probably won't be enough money.
The bank usually clears all that up
Yeah,
before
they
you
do.
buy.
When I worked in code enforcement and we worked with a lot of bankruptcies, when we had to go out and mow the grass or whatever, the banks would call me and say, how much do we owe you?
Yeah.
And
Before
Banks
they
that's
can get it
Because the
cleared,
banks, they will
Right.
spend the money to protect their interest in the property.
Right.
So even if the homeowner skips out on the foreclosure, the banks, it's kind of in their language, they have an interest to make sure that they pay
However,
money to
Let me ask
preserve the
another
property.
question,
Yes.
because it's kind of along what Brian's asking. Usually, if a tenant moves in, the water, if it's a house, and I don't know how apartments work, the water is in the name of the tenant, not necessarily the name of the owner. So then how would that work? Because in the sewer
Yep, the
bill, would it
property
still
owner.
follow the property
Well,
owner?
we have put, we've put our bills in the name of the property owner in the sewer department.
Right, so what if the property owner
Yeah,
has to
but-
pay a sewage bill? Does the renter get their water turned off and hope that the property owner will pay a sewer bill, catch up however much money he's behind?
Well, I mean, that's a question, but that's
And then,
our only duty under the law, what we call privity, legal privity, since we build the property. It's assessed against the property, which means the property owner by the Indiana Supreme Court. So that's our only legal duty.
real-
to build
the
the
real-
no,
property.
it's not our legal duty.
So
I
that-
don't know if I want to.
Yeah, I mean,
The real problem is when, like I'm a landlord, and a tenant moves in, they go 6 months without paying a sewer bill, they move out, I'm stuck with that bill.
Right.
What this would do is in 3 months, and what we do is we go in about every quarter and we check our properties and see who's delinquent. Then we can go follow up on them. What this does is it kind of cuts that process down. The most you're going to be out is 3 months worth of sewer bills, not 6, 8, 10, whatever. And what happens is you'll get a notice from the sewer department. It's a pre-lien notice. And they're saying that you're delinquent in this sewer bill on this piece of property. They're going to give you a pre-lien letter saying that we're about to lien your property if this bill is not satisfied. So it really, it helps the landlords, it helps the city by not getting so far in the rears. So, food for thought.
Did we have a motion and a second? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say,
And the motion is to having come up with something and
With
bring
an
it back to
ordinance and
us.
bring it back to us.
Okay. And is there any guidance at this point in time from the council as far
Bring
as
us, bring us back.
timeframe, just
see what it looks
proposal?
like.
Just let us know, look up and see what other cities do.
Okay,
How-
I'll just
how many
ask for guidance
months,
first, and then-
How much
okay.
money they, just so we will know, or if the sewer board has any suggestions or whatever, that would be helpful.
We're gonna have to work with Watson Water too.
Maybe Riverside and Oak Park.
I think Watson bought them.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think Indiana American's the only one that's come before the sewer board, and that's the only one that we've talked to, so.
Okay.
Which if you could just,
All right.
one,
Okay.
really cut out.
So since
No.
I live
All in
out
favor
there,
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all
I don't have
opposed,
to worry
motion
about my water being
carries.
turned off.
Okay, thank you.
Pay your bill.
No, I have Watson Water.
Nathan?
Don't have to worry about it.
Until tonight, I hadn't seen or heard all the information and the details on the marina, and I still don't think we've seen them all, but much more than I was aware of before tonight. One of the things that I am concerned about is the demolition of the docks prior to approval to move forward with new docks, based on what I heard. And I'm also concerned about sending a signal to the Corps of Engineers that we're supportive of the marina and want to move forward. And so I have a resolution that I'm going to read, 2013 R33, that says, whereas the city of Jeff is a growing city located on the Ohio River, whereas our current docks are in need of enhancement and improvement, whereas an enhanced and updated marina is recommended by the mayor and the redevelopment commission as a project they wish to promote and fund, whereas the city council supports improving quality of life and aesthetics throughout the city. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the common council of Jeffersonville that the council does hereby, one, approve and authorize the redevelopment commission to do the appropriate due diligence to include detailed plans for the proposed marina project, all necessary and required permits to be approved, cost projections and analysis based on finalized plans and slip rental projections. Two, no construction or demolition is authorized until all items from the due diligence is presented and approved by the council. Three, this resolution shall be enforced in effect from and after its passage and approval. So I'd make a motion to approve 2000 R33 tonight.
I'll second.
2013 R33.
Yes.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2013 R33. Any other questions, comments?
I'm just gonna say that I thought in an email I read we weren't gonna put this, but maybe I misread. But I'll be voting against just because I don't think we have the statutory right to enforce a resolution like this. I think we're pretty well laid out in state statute that redevelopment deals with TIP funds. We don't approve their claims. We don't approve any of the money they move. We don't get to see it. I mean, honestly, that's a separate redevelopment commission that we have appointments to, that the mayor has appointments to. We are charged with approving projects. And I'm in favor of this project, but we're not charged with approving phases of projects or projects based on the amount.
What do you do if you have a project that you approve, but there's still some uncertainty about it? I mean, how do you, because I understand what you're saying, and I get the division, but what if you support a project, but there are uncertainties or questions you have along the way?
Then we have to charge our representatives on that board to sort out those uncertainties. And I understand that, I guess this council isn't comfortable with having the minority on that commission, but that's how state statute lays it out.
Scott, what's your opinion?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think I don't see that this particular resolution is a conflict with any law. I really don't.
But is there any effect? Can we hold the redevelopment commission, does this authorize the redevelopment commission to do anything on a project that we haven't approved in the plan?
Well, I mean, I think maybe, just to be honest, I'm just trying to speak legally as an attorney. I think maybe it just clarifies the council's position.
That we are in support of this project.
Because they did vote no on the plan that's been presented to date. I think this shows that, I think it kind of gives some guidance to the redevelopment commission that what they can do to make this project happen, because it still has to come back before the council. So, I mean, personally, I don't think this contradicts any of the law. I think it provides guidance. I did not write this, I just want you to know, but I do believe it provides some guidance in some direction maybe to the redevelopment.
It tells the redevelopment commission that we'll approve their projects as long as they provide us with information that state statute doesn't say we have to have. They have to provide.
They say we
But I mean, the state statute says ultimately those projects, because it's being a part of a new project in the plan, they're amending the plan, the project has to be approved by the council anyway, so I don't see,
Okay.
I'm not trying to argue, I mean, legally,
I know.
as a lawyer, I'm just telling you legally, I
Gotcha.
do not see that as contradicting any law.
Does this send the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Go ahead.
Scott, will this satisfy, I mean, I think at the end, Brian said something about, will they pull the permit? Will this satisfy to the core that, you know, we're in support of the project for the core to move on with the permit process? Will that satisfy that?
I mean, I can't speak for the Corps, but I think it does send that message that it's not, I mean, in my opinion, this shows that it's just not some absolute blanket disapproval of the council of this project. I mean, I think it says we do approve if these certain things happen, including, this is worded, all necessary required permits to be approved, so I think that's a signal to the Corps.
Yeah,
that
I guess it
they're
does say,
still in consideration.
it also says to the core that we, as a council, believe that they haven't planned properly, and that it's a plan that 9 people in city government doesn't agree with, as of right now, what they have thus far. So for me, I'm going to vote against this resolution because I feel like it's fairly redundant for me because I've already voted in favor of the project. And this resolution basically says that you don't like the project as it is and will like it in the future if we work on it. So-
No, I think it
It
says
does-
we're
incomplete.
requesting that they get all the required permits.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what, it doesn't say
not,
that,
no.
yeah,
I think it's some common ground.
yeah. Did we have a motion and a second, because I can't.
You better call roll
Okay,
call.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Smith.
Yes.
Councilperson Payne.
No.
Councilperson Gill.
Yes.
Councilperson Glover.
No.
Council President Sellers.
Yes.
Councilperson Julius.
Yes.
Councilperson Owen. Councilperson Samuel.
Yes?
I'm going to pass this around for you all to sign, please.
Okay, public comment, I think we've already had. Council comment, councilperson.
Others, you skipped one thing.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, there's, the clerk
Man, I
can put
thought we
something
were
under me,
done.
city council, uniform conflict of interest disclosure.
Oh, sorry, Scott.
That's okay. Yes, our clerk who who ensures that all of our records are done appropriately. This is an annual conflict of interest disclosure statement provided by law for our board. Councilman Julius, regarding his ownership interest in Walnut Ridge and the contract that they have with the city. This is a requirement, yearly conflict of interest that he has filled out and he has signed. And since he's a member of this council, pursuant to the law, this council actually has to vote to accept the conflict of interest statement. So it's kind of a routine document that has to be done each year.
I did those for redevelopment as well.
So technically, this board actually has to vote to approve or accept the conflict of interest disclosure.
And it has to be signed by the president.
Yes, but it has to be voted on.
Yes.
So
So that would have
Oh,
to
is it
be,
like a
that
motion?
would have
We
to
just-
be by any council person that had a business of any sort that did business with the city?
Yes, any board or commission, like any other board, not just the council,
Okay.
any other board of the city or office holder. I mean,
Okay.
these are laws that have been in effect for several years. So there would be a motion, you have to have the record that you vote to approve and accept the next time by the president. So.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
What if we turn him down?
I probably shouldn't say.
Have we ever done this before?
I have a
Scott, at
motion and a
meeting?
second, no, I don't think we have. I have a motion and a second to accept the conflict of interest disclosure statement from Dennis Julius. Any other questions, comments?
He's
All in
he's
favor?
satisfied with me.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
It's a new law.
Okay, I don't know where I'm supposed to sign. I've got a mark for you.
Elected official.
Oh, over here.
I mean, there's been other ones.
Okay. Okay, that's fine, I just never done it before, that's why I asked.
Yes,
Is this one supposed to
that's
say?
exactly right. And then you sign over here, right there. And then I file it with the clerk.
I'm not opposed. But it's, I'm opposed. I don't have all the, no, I don't have all the information.
Okay, is that it? Did I miss
You got
anything else?
Council comments.
Okay, I know, I was just making
I was
sure we
just
were
helping
there. Okay, council comments, Councilperson Smith.
Three things. The $25,000 for the skating rink, I was told to bring that back up again, so the
Oh,
council...
shoot, we should have done that during, okay. Yeah, so that's something else.
Where's it coming from?
It'd come out of our, how much do we have in our special projects? Do we already have it out anywhere for the skating rink? Out of council?
We take it out of that, we take it out of game, I think we've taken it out of gaming in the past.
Promotion, we don't have anything in special projects?
We can just vote to approve it and then submit the claim under the, whatever one we want it under.
Well, that's, we're going to use that for the
Let's,
attorney.
yeah, let's
Take
use
it out of
gaming.
gaming.
How much is in gaming?
That's what we've done in the past.
Gotta be safety related, isn't it?
Lloyd?
You hear that, Chief Hedrick?
No, he's not listening.
He's
not
talking.
How much is in gaming?
That's what
She's
she's
looking.
looking.
Oh, is that what she's looking at? That's what we've done before.
No.
Not more than that.
So, how much?
235.
I was gonna say, I thought it
Yeah.
sounded better because
I know
when
when
you
she
first
said
said it, I thought,
35,
what?
Yeah.
I just make a motion, do we need a motion to take 25 out of
Yes.
gaming
Yes.
as our
Second.
share for the ice skating rink?
Okay, I have a motion and second to take 25,000 out of gaming for the ice skating rink. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I want to talk about it for a
Okay.
second. I promise this isn't in retaliation for us voting against the marina, but I don't know about any of the other districts that are further away from downtown, but I get calls, well, I'm contacted constantly about people that disagree with the ice skating rink, so I'm going to have to vote against it, so.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Roll call?
No, there's two.
Was there?
It was Zach and...
Okay, I didn't hear, I didn't
Okay.
hear. The other thing is, just so you guys know, the Chestnut Street project that runs between Spring Street and Pearl Street is just about complete, I'm gonna say 95%. We had rain the other night, and Councilman Julius may touch on this a little bit. We had rain the other night, and I measured at an inch at my house, so I don't know what we had there, pretty close. But the street floods. Chestnut and Spring Street floods pretty bad. I don't know, I don't have an answer for it. I talked to Councilman Julius about, I know we've got a lot of leaves, you'll notice leaves will cover up storm grates and so on and so forth, but it was a pretty good, the Spring Street area and Chestnut, it flooded pretty daggone bad. He's got pictures, but it's almost complete. However, there are some issues with it. I don't know what they are, but I think
there's some elevation problems.
Did it not flood prior to?
No.
Who did that?
Well, I
This
don't
was
know who
only an
did
inch
the
of
plans.
rain.
Who did those
Do we not
plans?
get it?
Structure point?
Structure point, yeah.
Well, I don't know, and, unless at some point, we might have shoot grade on it, I don't really want to point the finger, but something's not flowing correctly, something's not working right, and it is
Okay.
flooding, and we only had an inch, so that wasn't really anything to get too excited about. But, and the other thing is, and I was going to discuss too, is I would like, at some point, and any member can do it, or we can do it as a whole, but get with planning and zoning, and let's talk a little bit about some of these rental type or store buildings, these facilities. We've never had one come before, so it was new to me. I did go look at the nice ones, and I looked at the ones that are not so nice. All I want is, I don't care what business it is, I just want the neighbors to be where it's appeasing or comfortable versus some of the others we have. And so, just for you to think about. That's all I have, thank you.
Okay, Councilperson Payne,
No comment.
Councilperson Gill.
I just wanted to add what
Retaliation.
Zach brought about the ice rink. I did support it this time because we said we wanted to see how we do with the year with the footbridge, fit with the walking bridge when it's open. So hopefully we'll have a good year, and if not, then I won't support from here on out.
Well, I'll say something about that when we get there. I'm sorry, Councilperson Gill. Councilperson Julie.
No, I did take pictures on Chestnut.
Allegation.
Watch it. I did take pictures of Chestnut Street, sent them to Andy, city engineer, called him, and, told him we have some issues. I do know he's addressing it, but anyway, glad Mike brought it up.
Councilperson
None.
Owen. Councilperson Daniel.
Just in response to Lisa, that's what we thought the walking bridge was going to be open, but it's not going to be open, so it's not going to be a good test. I mean, it's unfortunate.
I thought it was.
I thought it was supposed to be open in November.
I
was
think they
told
pushed
spring.
it off.
It won't be November.
You were
They
kidding.
push it off all the time.
So anyway, I just mentioned that, so it's not going to be a good test.
Wow, I
And
didn't
my
know
last
that.
comment,
I do not know that.
last comment, we have a former council person in the room, Mr. Williams.
And
Appreciate you coming and enduring it tonight.
Which one of those pictures are you on? Over there?
Things are probably easier
That
back
one
then.
there, and that bottom one.
That's all I have.
Bottom
That's all
one,
you
yeah,
have?
he's
Okay.
standing up.
I have a card here to read
Maybe
from
over there.
Mr. Smith, Councilperson Smith. It says, "Many thanks, Connie Sellers, President of City Council," but it's addressed to the whole City Council. "Please express to the City Council my appreciation for the beautiful flowers sent after my surgery. It really made my day. Thank you so much, Kathy Smith." So just want to relay that to everyone if anyone wants to look at it.
Mike, did you send that?
No, the handwriting's too nice.
I tried selling them, she wouldn't let me.
The handwriting's too nice.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.